hitting things and getting hit feel just incredible. And this is, we ended up coming up with this new technology, this new system that we call the Phantom Melee technology. And I'm going to let Eugene explain that in just a second. But the basic premise behind it is people have been trying to solve this in VR, but they've been doing it in ways where they're fighting the systems. And we really just had to embrace your game avatar and your player avatar as separate concepts. And as soon as we separated those and gamified it, that just unlocked the incredible features you see in the game today.
I mean, just real quick here, we're seeing some footage, and I just want to point out, you've got to keep your hands up in this game. That's a huge part of it. It really feels like you are boxing. That is the thing. It doesn't feel like it's sort of some artifice. It's some sort of artificiality to it. It really feels like you're waiting for him to expose his cheek. You see his jaw stick out, and you crack him with it. It's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. When we set out to make this game, you're acting out yourself in this movie of you stumbling back, trying to catch your balance.
That's nice. So you're playing as Adonis, right?
You're playing as Adonis.
So tell us the story about the game and what you'll be going through as you're playing.
So the story is not tied to Creed 1 or Creed 2. We worked hard. We worked with MGM to create its own story that resides.
I think the main thing there is we really wanted to be authentic to the franchise, right? We are all fans of Rocky and Adonis and the films, huge fanboys. And the main thing for us is we wanted to expand upon the universe, not just relive exactly what you saw in the films. So the first film has already been out. The second one's coming out, I believe, around Thanksgiving later this year. Really stoked about that.
Awesome.
And so the opportunity we had to do working with the filmmakers and with Michael B. is that we got to flesh out some of his story that you don't see in the films, right? So we're actually going to go to some of the earlier fights that they talk about, but they don't show. Some content in between the two films. We're really excited about
That's really, really interesting. Can you also tell us a little bit about single player versus multiplayer?
Well, with multiplayer right now, we haven't right now we're focusing on single player. Multiplayer is something we're actively experiencing on, but we're not fully announcing anything yet.
So here we are. We just got knocked out of the body. This is what you were talking about earlier. And we are making these motions, like sort of running motions with
running back to your body.
Control, run back into the body, which is a super cool feeling. You guys had another game come out recently that used a motion like that as well.
That's right. That was our last product. That was actually called Sprint Vector.
That was a great game.
And that project was all about solving locomotion in VR.
Yeah.
That was our focus. So it's about making, the disconnect happens when the mind and the body aren't thinking the same things. So as soon as we had the player pumping their arms, moving like they were ice skating, if you will, or cross-country skiing, that was the solve. That was the magic. And you see, now that we have locomotion, we're going to be using it in all of our projects going forward. So you see, as Adonis, he got knocked out by Rhino there. He punched him so hard, the ref was counting to 10, and the player has to rush back into his body before he gets to the 10 count. And of course, the more times you get knocked down, the harder and harder it's going to be to get back in time.
I love that you guys are really tackling like the big challenges in VR, the mechanics, developing a VR vocabulary for gameplay. It's something